Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, as we are standing by right now, waiting to get underway for our first round, well, our X3's round today, round 5 of the X3 Championship, the shortened X3 Championship, here at Monza. As we're preparing to get underway, it looks like we could be looking at a very strange event. Yes, I know you guys can hear me. Let me fix that 1 second. So right now, we're just about to get underway. Only 13 drivers. Typically the rules... In the rules, typically if we only have 13 drivers or fewer in an event, we run short single session qualifying. But there is a anticipation that more people are going to join. Alright, it looks like we are going to get underway for the event. I'm trying to keep up with the developments, but it looks like, yeah, this is it. We're only going to have 13 people in today's event. We may have a 14th person joining in the form of fratters, but with this in mind, this puts us in a scenario where all you really need is to just set a lap in this session, and you automatically advance to the next round. Plastic Gloves serving a qualifying ban, so he's not going to advance. We know that off the bat. So only 12 drivers right now looking like they're going to be setting laps in this session. A very strange situation. Not a lot of rush to get out onto the circuit right now. Interestingly enough, we only have 2 of our championship contenders attending today right now. XR Veloce and Herbago, with Schumacher and Schumacher SF7 is not here, and neither is the winner at France 2 weeks back. Well, yeah, 2 weeks back in Jigsaw. So very interesting scenarios right now. We're starting to see drivers come down pit lane. First driver on circuit, Wild Nissan GTR in the Red Bull. He's one of 2 Red Bulls in today's event, the other will be an XRL flavor. About half the field already coming out onto the circuit. So we're going to go silent for a lap. I'm right on board with the Red Bull of Wild Nissan as I continue to try and keep up to date with why we're missing so many people. I think we're dealing with technical issues on Xbox, because my co-broadcaster is not able to join either. It's as if no one's online for him, it's saying. But Nissan has set time that everyone's going for, 122.444. Dave Ewart in the Haas invalidated on his first lap, so he's trying to go for another one. Now Constant Jets is to 23.177. JR Footballer in the Williams has set the second fastest time on the medium tires with a 22.824. As we watch the Haas of Dave Ewart, he's trying to get something to happen there. Yeah, I think Xbox is having issues right now because a lot of people just don't seem to be able to do anything right now, and it seems like Xbox is not loading a lot of people who should be online right now. It's as if it's acting like their accounts don't even exist or if they've been offline for years. Yeah, this is fucking stupid. It's gotten weird. Well, 8 of our drivers have set times thus far. It's now just up to Veloce, Flavor, Meerkat, and Pure UFC to set a time to lock into the next round. A very bizarre scenario at the moment. Oh, Peasy, you're finally in. Can you hear me?
I haven't included my audio yet. Little research around Monza as I usually do.
And technical issues continue to hamper us right now, it would appear. Now Pure UFC is coming out onto the circuit. Jigsaw has aborted and come into the pit lane, so he has aborted his lap. Very interesting scenario here because, again, we're only looking at about 14 drivers right now. One of them not even setting a lap due to a qualifying ban, so everyone's going to advance without issue. 2 of our championship contenders not even attending today's race. Only one of the remaining 2 title contenders have set a lap thus far. The other one hasn't even gotten a lap in yet. Qualifying is expected to be dry all the way through, but we are anticipating wet weather in the race itself.
Alright, and your co-host is in. Hello everyone, this is
Hey.
Peasy Frenchman for you.
Welcome to the booth, Peasy. Good to have you here. As we now see Pure UFC in the Alpine crossing the line. Now XRL Jigsaw has joined the lobby, so one more of our title contenders has finally jumped in, but extremely late, and he's going to have to rush to get out there and get a lap in as soon as possible. Still no word from the Ferrari team on if they're going to be able to show or not. And again, we're still in a scenario where everyone who's here right now, they just need to set a lap, and they will be guaranteed a spot into the next round of qualifying here. apparently there's one more person in the form of Fratters who is trying to jump in right now. So we could be looking at a 15-car grid for today's event, potentially. You see Alpine coming down the second of the two back straightaways, and now into the final corner Parabolica. Not taking the full outside and not hugging the inside either, so it's not a perfect line, but he will still go 7th, 122.450. So now it's just a matter of how long will it take until Jigsaw gets out onto the racetrack to get a lap in. Williams of Veloce and JR Footballer doing a little bit of shenanigans. Coming out of Ascari. But Veloce pretty much out of fuel is going to be coasting it into the line. Footballer in the similar position.
Feels like PR UFC is going again for a flyer. He was up almost 3/10 on his previous lap.
Hops up in the DRS, is laying hard into the ERS down the straight as well.
Right before the Ascari chicane, we'll know. 3/10 up. This is looking pretty decent. And as you mentioned earlier, if he takes the right line, which is the absolute outside of the Parabolica on the exit, that will do him a big favor.
Yeah, PR UFC could potentially move into the 22s.
Commits.
Not maximized, but definitely more than last time. Doesn't cut to the inside as much either. He's up to 3rd. Very nice. He found about 6/10 in that final corner alone.
I don't think
that still wasn't maximized.
Yeah, and I don't think that was only on finding a slightly better lane in the Parabolica. He probably lost a bit of time on his previous lap, surely in his car chicanes. Because if there is no way in a sector that is, well, that is 2 straightaways back to back, getting 6/10 of a second on pure pace. Pure pace, I mean pure straight line speed.
Jigsaw now out on circuit. He'll try and be the 13th driver to set a time here. He just needs to record a time and he'll be good. The jury is still out regarding Fratters and your championship contenders in the Ferrari team.
While Nissan still improving, 2/10 up, exiting sector 2.
Jigsaw has come almost to a dead stop on the back straightaway, and he's lined up behind XR Augusti as well. So he swerves across and very nearly, oh boy, that got a little bit nuts. As that was Nissan, who's in the middle of an in-lap right now. No, he's going another lap actually.
Gained 2 spots. 121.851. Still improved quite a lot.
But the fuel light's flashing aggressively now for that Red Bull, so I don't think he's going to have the fuel to go for another flyer like that. Not to mention, he's gone 4 laps on that set of tires now. They've got to be falling off a bit.
Regarding the incident earlier, before entering the Parabolica, I don't think that was done with... I don't think that was with any kind of harm.
It wasn't done with malice?
No, he just got out of line because exiting the Ascari chicane, you're basically on the right of the road, and entering Parabolica, you need to be on the left, and we saw him swerving on the right just to get out of the racing line. I don't think you should get a penalty for that, if it does get reviewed.
Alright, well, Jigsaw now flying down the second of the 2 back straightaways as he will set a lap. So 3 of our 4 title contenders are in now. Veloce has set the fastest of all the times, and he did it on mediums with a 21.388.
And Davey Wars goes for another flight
Jigsaw to the top, 120.917. He's the first driver to get into the 20s.
Well, Davey Ward just jumped off a curb in turn 2, so he'll have to abort and go for another one.
Right now, only 3 cars on track. Jigsaw, Dave Ewart, and Gusty, who has just come out to do another outlap. But now I'm seeing one of the other AlphaTauri, that would be Constant Jet. He is coming back out onto the circuit. Here, if you're not scared already, you should be very scared of Extra Veloce. He says that they have installed a wet setup on that car for today's race. So, and even with a wet setup on a dry track with medium tires, he still set the 3rd fastest time. I think it's going to be very easily a potential win for Veloce today.
And even with that wiggle in turn 1, Davey Ward will improve and have to go up 4 spots in the top 10.
23.005. Extra Jigsaw now retires in the pit lane. Gusty, Constant Jet, both in the middle of outlaps right now.
I believe Dave can break into the 123s. Or below the 123s. This is looking way better. 2 seconds up, just basically deleting the mistake he did on the previous lap. Entering the first
Gusty really clabbers the curbs in that first chicane. Sorry about that.
Places there. Still looking much better for Davey Ward, 1.7 seconds up. Oh, this is not looking too great, exiting Ascari. This is the season again, everyone. And I am not immune to that either, so. Will be the next one.
So Davey Ward brings it into the pits, and Gusty is down on his time. So right now the focus is on Constant Jet to improve. Jet is up by over 8/10 at the end of Sector 2. If he maintains that speed, it would be good enough to get him up into about the 8th position on the timesheets.
Clean exit out of Ascari. This is looking good. Much better line.
Maximizing everything on exit. Didn't cut in as much as needed to. Look at that. 1.5 seconds gain. Goes up to 5th with a 21.584. And now Flavor begins his lap. And time is up in the session. So it does not appear that Fradders is going to be joining us at all in quali. And if he is going to try and join the race, he's going to have to start from the back of the grid.
Really sad now to see any of the Ferraris running, at least in quali.
Indeed. And there's been no word from the Ferrari team on if they're going to try if they're even going to show or if they're even awake for all we know. Which is very strange because both of the Ferrari drivers are British. They're most definitely awake at this time of day.
Not really maximizing the exit of Ascari, but still clean.
Really cut in nice and hard for Flavor. He did improve by about 19 hundredths, but didn't move up the grid by a significant amount. Well, there's your result. Of the 14 drivers, everyone will advance. But again, Plastic Glove serving a qualifying ban is not going to be turning laps in this session. Here's the crazy thing, though. We know the race is going to be wet. No one really has any incentive to use tires that they don't want to utilize in Q2. Normally, we talk all about, oh yeah, you want to get on softs or star on mediums for the race. Not an issue today. Just in Q2, go out there and go hard to the end, I guess. The spread from the top to the bottom in the time, 6.5 seconds, and the spread from 1st to 12th alone is over 2 1/4. So there's a lot of gap, and most of those people at the top of the sheets, they said they had wet setups on and put down some incredible times with those wet setups. So this could end up being very, very strange, to say the least. We could see a large spread in the field today.
And also, for all we know, everybody was kind of in for Q2 since the grid is not even complete at this point. So comparing the top 10 in times would be, I'd say, more realistic than looking at the whole grid, especially whenever there was a 13th spot was a 6-second down on the leaders.
Well, the first car to get on track in this session is going to be XRL Veloce in the Williams. So Veloce, your points leader, winner last week, is really trying to capitalize on the absence of one of his title contenders and go out there and absolutely pounce early on to get this lap in. He's on soft tire compounds. Again, he says that he has a wet weather setup on that car, so watch him. He's not going to have maximum speed in the straight lines. And his braking bias is going to be very, very awkward as well. Already about half the field out onto the circuit right now, but we got a lot of nice little gaps in the grid, so we don't have to worry too much about people backing up into each other. A little bit of shenanigans going on with the Red Bull team as Flavor is leading Nissan, so Nissan might be betting on catching his teammate and running him down on the flying lap and using the draft to put down a faster time. Top 10 out of this session will advance into the pole shootout. Oh, is that McLaren around? Yes, that is. That's Herbago. One of your title contenders has spun in Parabolica. And he needs to get off the racing line because there comes... Ooh, that got a little close for Gusty there, but Gusty will get out of the way. And now we see Herbago completing his 17-point turn and finally starting to get back underway. Here comes the Aston Martin. That's Boothie going by to get his lap going. So Herbago, who is running behind his teammate to try and get a lap in. Oh, and Meerkat, the other McLaren, has had an incident in the first chicane as well. So both McLarens having incidents just about 15 seconds apart from each other.
And all the while, it looks like Veloce has aborted his first lap in.
He's still on a legal lap, but this lap he's going to set is not going to be proper pace by any means.
So I believe your next man across the line for a good lap will be XR Gusty.
Gusty's going to be putting in a very interesting lap, considering just at the end of that warm-up he had to avoid... Oh, Gusty's invalidated in a Ascari. So then it goes to Boothie then in the Aston Martin. One of the perennial qualifiers in X3. Yeah, Veloce's time of 1:27.562, that's 7 seconds off, over 7 seconds off of what we saw at the top of the sheets in Q1, so we know he can go faster. He wasn't even laying on the ERS whatsoever. At the line for Boothie. 122.790 on the medium tire compound, and now we see Mantic Meerkat. But Meerkat also had an instinct. He had a spin in the chicane at the start of this lap, so this won't be a very competitive lap from him either. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the Red Bulls. Flavor leading Nissan down the straight. Nissan is right underneath him. This is going to get interesting. Is Nissan so close that's going to compromise his line? Nissan, no, this is perfect for him. 121.882. Flavor goes third, 123.822. And now Collie Boy beats them both, getting a toe off of his teammate Dave Ewart with a 21.276. So a lot of drafting shenanigans going on right now in qualifying.
Is in 127.53 on his own.
I see no way that Veloce doesn't win this race with the pace that he has right now on a wet setup on a dry track. Collie Boy completely pulled off in the chicane to let Dave Ewart go and fly for this lap. Ooh, big twitch by that Haas there in the second chicane. Dave has a toe off the Red Bull Honda there. Wasn't a massive toe, but he'll take anything he can get. Herbago on another flyer lap now. Flavor, 122.256, so he's moved up another spot. Dave Ewart to third, 21.774. Nissan brings it into pit lane.
Next man across the line, JR Footballer. Maximizing the exit. Looking decent enough. It's a 121.800.
Oh, Meerkat's had an instant. Meerkat, another instant in the McLaren there. Coming out of the second chicane. He has gotten away, but he's low on fuel, and with that instant, it's not going good for him to have any chance to improve. His teammate Herbago, though, still in the middle of a good lap, but he is not utilizing ERS. I think he's backed out of this.
I saw him in the gravel trying to not compromise the lap of Constant Jet. Exiting Ascari now.
Constant Jet having a career-defining season thus far this year, pretty much single-handedly leading that team in the Manufacturers' Championship after just struggling to earn any points most of the year last season. Now Jet coming to the line. It'll be a 122.066. That's good enough for 7th at the moment. Herbago comes into the pits as Meerkat comes in as well, so Gusty is the only man in the middle of the lap right now.
Oh, Dave Ewart does improve a little bit.
Gusty, purple sector 2, and now he just has one more corner left to get a lap in. Again, top 10 fastest will advance, and Gusty will be the 10th man to set a time. Boothie right now, it's not looking great for him because while a time 122.3 on the mediums isn't bad, he's going to want to try and go faster on the softs if he honestly cares about starting near the front. Gusty jumps up to 5th, 21.804, only 4 thousandths off of Footballer's time. So now the focus goes to PRUFC as he rounds Parabolica and is about to start his flying lap. Jigsaw and Herbago have yet to get on circuit. Herbago has been on track already and attempted twice to get laps in and validated both his attempts. Jigsaw has not come onto the track yet. But as I say that, I see the AlphaTauri coming down pit lane now. Veloce retires in the pit lane. He knows that no one else can touch his time in the 120s right now, except maybe Jigsaw, so no risk of getting squeezed out for him. DRS opens for the Alpine. This is going to be very interesting because Herbago is tucked right up behind Jigsaw right now as they navigate through Sector 2. So Herbago might be trying to pull a little sneaky shenanigans. That was close for...
That was a big slide. That was a big four-wheel slide exiting Ascari. This will hurt his time. By how much, I don't know, but that definitely will. Ooh.
121.348, so despite that little bit of a hiccup, it was still a respectable time.
If it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for that four-wheel slide exiting Ascari, I believe this man could have been probably a tenth or a tenth and a half faster than this.
So Herbago now about to cross the line to go for a faster lap, as will his first serious attempt at a lap. Not to say his last attempts weren't serious, but they didn't stay serious the entire time after spins or hiccups. And Gusty has had an instant. He's gone off in the runoff there in that second chicane. He's moving now, but he is out of fuel and is just kind of coasting around the circuit right now.
While Nissan is almost matching his fastest lap, 0.005 of a second up at the exit of Sector 2. That wasn't really a good section of the track as he went through Ascari. Surely lost time. Maybe if he can maximize the parabolica. Really complicated when you're driving under. And he did not improve at the end of the day.
Nope. Herbago now coming through Ascari. It's a clean, but a little bit of a slow line through there. But again, right now, the time to beat is 122.256 as Flavor is on the bubble right now. Boothie on the outside looking in. Now, Boothie has already responded. He's come back onto the circuit to try and go faster. Here comes the McLaren now to the line. Is he in? The answer, easily yes, 129.946. And now it's Constant Jet on the bubble. Flavor's on the outside looking in, and we're expecting Jet to get squeezed out by his teammate Jigsaw here, coming to the line.
Oh, new fastest lap for Jigsaw.
120.659. So these two continue to be the class of the field. Everyone has now set a time at this point in the session. It's Constant Jet, Flavor, and Boothie on the outside looking in. Boothie says not anymore. He goes up to 5th on the softs now, 21.287. So now only one McLaren is poised to make it to Herbago. Meerkat needs to improve by about 0.05, and even if he does improve by that amount, he'll be squeezing his teammate out.
All we can do for now is watch and try to see who will be the fastest of the two McLarens.
Herbago's up by a decent chunk of time at the end of Sector 2. He might be able to squeeze Nissan down. That McLaren low on fuel, so it's the lightest it's going to be.
Meerkat is slightly faster. This might be able to do it.
To the line.
Herbago
goes up to 9th. Here comes Meerkat's invalidated. Meerkat's invalidated in Ascari. And he was up by about 1/3 of a second. He needs to go again. He needs to hope that the tires hold up if he wants to try and squeeze Nissan out. It's McLaren versus Red Bull.
Oh, Gerard Football. Saw an improvement from Gerard Football, and he invalidates the lap.
So Nissan on the bubble. He's still in the pit lane and is not going to come out on track to try and improve on his time. So right now it's just between Meerkat and Jet to try and squeeze back into the top 10. Herbago is slow farther up the track. I think Herbago is going to try and give his teammate Meerkat a tow down these two back straightaways. That's exactly what they're going to do in the McLaren camp here. How well are they going to make it work? Well, it was only for a brief moment, but Meerkat's now up by over half a second. This should be enough to get him over Nissan. But Constant Jet is farther up the track as well. That toe that Herbago gave his teammate might be enough to kill his time in the next round. Jet's in, he's up to 6. Herbago is on the bubble, and Meerkat's going to squeeze his teammate out.
Gonna look like the line.
No, he doesn't. He lost it. He lost a bunch of time in the final corners. Meerkat's still on the outside. He has one more shot at this. There is barely enough fuel, and he does not have ERS. I don't know if that McLaren can make it happen. Flavor needs to pick up about half a second right now. Time's up. I don't think Flavor has it in that car, especially if they have that thing set up for wet weather. He's up by almost a third at the end of Sector 2. He needs to be up by a lot more if he wants to try and make it in. Meerkat now has to see if he can get by Herbago. He's down on time in Sector 1. Again, there's just not enough ERS. I don't think he's going to make it.
Not enough ERS, not enough braking zone to recharge the ERS. I believe he's going to be done.
Yeah, he's out by more than a third of a second. Unless he pulls off a monster Ascari and a monster Parabolica, this is it.
Yeah, but
Flavor crosses the line. He
so
did improve his time, but not enough.
Even so, all the time, he'll gain in the corners.
Nah,
where he
he's
goes faster
falling
on the
over
line,
now.
but
He's out of fuel. And that will be it. And that's it. That means the session comes to a close. Herbago is the only McLaren in, and neither of the Red Bulls advanced into the pole shootout. Alright, so there are 10 drivers that will be fighting for the pole position. Will be XRL Jigsaw in the AlphaTauri, XRL Veloce in the Williams. I think those are the only two really fighting for that front row. And that's going to be XRL Gusty in the Alfa Romeo, Collie Boy in the Haas, Boothie 116 in the Aston Martin, Constant Jet in the AlphaTauri, PRUFC in the Alpine, JR Footballer 26 in the Williams, Davey Wart 23 in the Haas, and Herbago in the McLaren.
question for Q3 is, will we see more than 2 drivers break below the 121s?
I do think it's possible. I do think it's very possible we see Gusty make it into the low 120s. I mean, the high 120s, but I don't think... I'm thinking like 120.9, while Jigsaw and Veloci are probably going to be in the 0.5s or 0.6s.
I mean, at the end of the day, if we get a Ferrari powered car in the top 3, or the 3 Ferrari powered cars in the top 5, I mean, we could see this as a win.
Indeed.
And
well,
I believe your first man on the track will be Dave Ewart.
Yeah, it took no time at all. Everyone immediately rushing to get out onto the track, but Dave Ewart gets the advantage of being a little bit closer to the pit lane exit.
And I saw that Schumacher SF7 joined this session, so...
Alright, so he will be starting this race, but it will be in the back of the grid in the Ferrari with no practice. He needs to be ready for a wet weather setup, though, in that scenario, because, again, this race is anticipated to be run fully in the wet. So heads up, I will be just a little bit distracted for the race because I'm also going to have the IndyCar race at Barber going on in the background, so I will be just a little bit distracted. I was thinking with the heavy thunderstorms in the area, they were going to postpone that race a bit. They ended up not doing so, so I'll still be here, still covering the event here. All right, Dave crosses the line. He will be the one trying to set the time that everyone else is going to gun for here, as we have just a little bit less than 10 minutes left in the final round of qualifying. I'm honestly shocked that the Haas's of Dave Ewart and Collie Boy didn't try to hook up and make something happen. Am I seeing rain? I'm riding on board with Dave Ewart. I'm seeing rain. This could get really interesting really fast.
So, Dave Ewart needs to get a clean lap in, as the track condition will deteriorate at some point. Even if it's only light drizzle, if it does stay on for the 12 minutes of Q3, that means everybody has to get out now.
I'm seeing movement. The Alpine PRUFC is finally coming onto the circuit, but it's going to take them about a minute 20 to get around the circuit, then another minute 20 to get a lap in. And again, you need to get this lap in now before they start shutting the DRS, because once the DRS shuts, that's it. There's no recovery. Without DRS, your time is just not competitive whatsoever around here. It looks like Dave will get a lap in. It looks like most everyone is going to get a lap in by the looks of it, except for PRUFC. It's going to be a little bit more iffy for him, so
really
everyone's going to get a single lap.
For Dave Ewart.
Veloce only at 21.3, Gusty 21.4. And a bunch of invalid times before. Boothie, 121.5. Constant, 121.6. Here comes Herbago to the line, one of your title contenders, 121.8. Could the track have already lost just enough grip that they're not able to find any extra time? Could Dave Ewart, by virtue of being first on track, have just snuck a pole out of this? Veloce is slow. He doesn't have fuel. In fact, the only person who does.
Both Haas's 1-2.
Haas 1-2, and Collie Boy and Boothie still is going for another lap. I think Boothie thinks he can go a little bit faster, maybe. There's a spin farther back. That's an AlphaTauri. I think that's Constant Jet, who's just gone around back there in Sector 1. In Sector 2, I mean. Boothie really laying hard on it. He wants to improve on his time. At the end of Sector 2, is he up at all? No, he's down by 7/10. The track has lost its grip. This is it. I think your Haas's have just locked out a 1-2.
Jigsaw is still in the run. He is entering the Parabolica. I believe he's a little bit down on time. He took it really
but
wide
right
on the
now,
exit
Jigsaw,
of his
I think Jigsaw just wants to get a lap in right now, just so he's recorded as at least 9th. He'll get 4th, 121.338. So the men we thought would be fine for pole, Veloce and Jigsaw, are stuck on row 2 behind a pair of Haas's.
Still looking.
PRUFC
Lap of PRUFC.
is the only man.
And even so there's rain, and the track is not wet yet at the point to go either full wet or intermediate tires. The track temperature goes down, and therefore you lose grip because it goes on par with your tire temperatures. So not looking real great for PRUFC that went out last. This is really for saving what can be saved.
PRUFC in the Alpine goes up to 9th.
And Calibor retires thinking nothing can happen again.
I think he's right. I don't think anyone's going to beat him. The rain's just getting heavier and heavier. So this might be the legendary Haas master plan that always gets memed about. As the Ferrari customer team has locked out the front row, and with the rain falling, now DRS has not been shut yet, but rain is falling, the grip is falling away.
And Rubago goes out again. That's a weird decision, but...
Well, for Herbago, there's really not much to lose. We know it's a wet weather race, so you don't have to worry about saving soft tires. Might as well go hard. Either you have a crazy crash and end up on the highlight reel, I guess, or you nail one more position back over PRUFC. So a pair of Scottish drivers in American/Italian equipment on the front row right now. It's Herbago and the McLaren trying to make something happen here.
This is not the Ferrari powered car I expected to be on pole, but I'll take it. especially when both of them lock the front row.
Three other drivers also out on outlaps right now. It's GR Footballer in the Williams, Gusty in the Alfa Romeo, and Veloce in the other Williams. So I would not be surprised if we see GR Footballer intentionally try to sacrifice a lap to give Veloce a tow. The idea would be that if they give Veloce enough of a tow, he might be able to get back onto the front row. Again, Veloce, we know he's probably the fastest man here. He also has on the wet weather setup in pure dry conditions, he was outpacing everyone except Jigsaw. So I would not be surprised if they just can get Veloce onto the front row. It should be an easy walkway on the start for him. Herbago now beginning his lap. Can he improve at all? They have a lockup. You could hear the lockups on the left tires going into that first chicane.
Ooh. Bit of a struggle to put the power down. Exiting turn 2, around Curva Grande. Split time, 2 tenths down.
He's down by almost a quarter of a second in Sector 1 alone. And that's only going to get worse in Sector 2. Sector 2 is the more proper part of this circuit where you actually are using...
And
he's off!
He's
off! He's around! Backs into the wall.
No damage for the McLaren, so... He'll get to at least drive it back to the garage.
Yeah. Veloce is down by almost half a second Sector 1 alone, so I don't think they're going to be able to improve. Ooh, big twitch off that Williams. Yeah, Veloce has aborted. He's pulling over. He's going to let... Oh, and Herbago's crashed out in the Scari! Alright, so now we see the Williams game moving. I imagine Veloce is going to move over here on the second back straightaway to get Footballer ahead, and he'll stay in Footballer's toe an entire lap probably. Well, no, maybe not, because Veloce doesn't have a lot of fuel left. Maybe he's going to try and sacrifice for his teammate Veloce. Yeah, that looks like it's going to be what happens. So Veloce trying to help his teammate Footballer out, going to give him a tow down the straight. Not much of a tow, it was only a little bit out of Parabolica. Boothie also out on circuit right now, trying to improve, but again, I'm seeing the track wettening up. I don't think you're gonna get much of an improvement unless you have someone towing you around the entire length of the circuit.
And even so, the person towing you has to be faster than you on a couple of straightaways, and also in a couple of turns. So...
JR Footballer, he's down by almost 6/10 at the end of Sector 1 alone. Yeah, for all intents and purposes, the track is lost.
Yeah, as we see a lot of people retiring of the session.
Alright, coming in the party now is the McLaren driver of Herbago. Herbago, go ahead and include your audio. Crazy, chaotic end to Q2 for the McLaren team, and then an accident early on in Q3. What happened out there? All right, you're gonna be starting 10th in what looks like it will be a full wet race. Do you think you have any strategy or any comeback to try and stay in the points today? All right, well, we'll be looking forward to seeing what you can do, mate. Shame to see you out in qualifying, but go give him hell in the race. So we turn our focus back onto the track.
as your last
Boothie
man running is Boothie. And he was down almost a second at the end of sector 2, if I remember correctly. And yes, he almost the lap.
Yeah, and this will be an early end to this session, because everyone's going to be in pit lane when the clock eclipses. So a Haas lockout on the front row, with some great timing by Collie Boy and a great drive by Dave Ewart, knocking the two fastest men today of Veloce and Jigsaw off the front row. That, my friends, is Gunther Steiner's master plan for Haas, I guess. And the spread of times from top to bottom, considering that the track was wetting up, it's still within 9/10, so that's relatively respectable, I'd say.
I can almost hear a fuck smash of the door in Park Ferme already.
Well, we know the race itself is going to be extremely wet. Drafting trains are probably going to be a big issue, but no DRS, so you can't just, hang out within 9/10 of the person ahead and then overtake on the straights. So it's going to get very, very interesting very quickly, to say the least. So we should be looking at a 15 to 16 car grid to start this event off. Yesterday in the Dev race, Jigsaw got a penalty at the end of Q3. At the start of Q3, he intentionally did not set a time. It was a small 14-car field yesterday, so he started automatically in the back of the grid. Didn't matter. Within 10 laps, he took the lead. Granted, the two fastest men crashed out 6 laps in, but he took the lead 10 laps in, then led to the end of that Dev race. Then in the realistic race yesterday, Jigsaw took the pole, led about the first 20 laps of the race, led the most laps overall after spending a lot of that time fighting with Zola for a lead, but he burned his tires up and fell to third. But 35 lead changes in a 53-lap race yesterday, and we saw a win by the Mercedes drivers, and those Mercedes boys were not competitive at all in realistic until literally the last race of their season yesterday. So Monza has shown us a lot of interesting scenarios in the two races that have gone forward, and now we see a race that's going to be wet from start to end. Italian Talladega may have another crazy shenanigan to give us here.
Yeah, especially considering you do not get wet weather at Talladega.
Yeah.
I mean, at least
we call it
at least fully wet races at Talladega.
We call it Italian Talladega. So a few years ago in the Forza games, we were running an IndyCar league, and we ran at Monza with IndyCars. And it was just like a NASCAR Talladega race. You had lead changes almost every lap. There were at least 3 large, massive accidents. There were 4 guys fighting for the win to the end with a victory margin of only 0.005 of a second at the end. So, and then we've also seen that replicate itself in that game with other racing series, GT series, NASCAR. It's been called in Talladega by a lot of our friends, and henceforth I kind of brought that nickname over here. Actually, weren't you in that for that IndyCar Monza race, Peasy? Weren't you there for that one?
That was 2-3 years back. Hell, I can't even remember what I ate last night.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But I do remember, not about Italian Talladega, but Switzerland Talladega, which which for anybody that is that knows a little bit about the Forza Motorsport franchise, there is a track since Forza Motorsport 4 that is the Bernese Alps, and there's one layout that is mostly left turn with a lot of elevation changes. You do mind, but still.
And only 2 braking zones as well. It's like a 3.5 mile track. Oh, I hate that place. I love it, but I hate it.
I love that place.
Well, right now we're just standing by until we get to the start of the race itself. We're anticipating everyone will be starting the race on intermediate rubber right now. So real quickly, just going to try and get some things set up for me personally here. Yeah, we're going to be going green in about a minute and a half. Real quickly looking at the championship standings as they are right now. One second. Wrong thing. Where is the standings? There it is, standings. Alright. Looking at the standings as they are right now. In the Manufacturers' Championship, Aston Martin has 2 points. Red Bull has 10. Alpine has 15. Mercedes has 18. Alfa Romeo has 25. McLaren has 52. Haas has 61. There's a tie for second between Williams and Ferrari with 77 each. And AlphaTauri has 79 points. In the Drivers' Championship, Mr. Shark, Plastic Love, and Boothie are tied, 1 each for 20th. XO Flavor in 19th has 2 points. Collie Boy in 18th has 4. 17th, aka Herbie, has 5 points. SFR Shoe in 16th, he has 6 points. 7 points for Ocean Lion in 15th. A tie for 13th between Wild Nissan GTR next to spot, 8 points each. Mantic Meerkat is 12th with 11 points. XR Snake is 11 with 12 points. 10th in the Drivers' Championship is JR Footballer with 14 points. 9th is PRUFC with 15. There's a tie for 7th between Gusty and Darkrai with 23 points each. 6th is Constant Jet, 1141. 5th is Herbago with 41 points. 4th is Davey Wart with 42. 3rd is XR Jigsaw with 48 points. 2nd is Schumacher SF7 with 50. XR Veloce comes into this race with a 13-point lead, 63 points in his favor right now. Yeah, there's that. Real quickly looking down, yeah, everyone's going to be starting on intermediate rubbers like we thought. Fratters does jump in. He's going to be in the Mercedes. Schumacher has apparently got locked into a Mercedes car as well, so he is normally earning points for Ferrari, but things are different. And he looks like the game has locked him into a Mercedes, but he'll still be in contention for Drivers' Championship, so there is that to consider at least. Should be gaining away relatively shortly here. Again, Q1, Q2, we started the race late, and Q1 and Q2 ran late, but Q3 ended relatively early on, so. It's taking a lot longer to get going than I thought we would. There we are. Alright, I'll be focused on the front and then kind of work my way back through the grid. If you see something in the back, go ahead and cut me off, mate. Alright, here we are as we load onto the circuit. 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, away we go! It's not a great start by Dave Ewart off the line. He's immediately going to try and get swapped. Jigsaw working his way up. It's going to be 3 wide. Now Jigsaw's coming to the inside. Jigsaw does not care about the Haas front row lockout. He's on the inside. It's going to be 3 wide. The Haas's get into each other. The Haas's are into each other still. And it's Jigsaw who nails the exit. And in a single chicane, Jigsaw goes from 4th to the lead. Veloce now looking on the inside of the Haas. Flavor has had an instant further back. He's dropped to the back of the grid with the Plastic Love back there. And Veloce already by 1 Haas. Now he goes around the outside trying to make it side by side on the other. As they go through the second chicane, he's got it. Alfa Romeo goes into the back of Davey Ward further back. Veloce already up into second. Gusty, both they putting pressure on the Haas's now. Constant Jet holding steady in the 7th spot. Oh, big twitch by the Alfa Romeo there. Jared Footballer has taken a little bit of damage as well. Constant Jet is really struggling right in the middle of this very packed bunch of cars. Look at his group from about 6 to 8. Everyone's on top of each other. Now here comes Wild Nissan. He blows by the Williams. He looks to the inside. Constant Jet as they head to the scarring complex. And Gusty goes offline. Gusty's into the dirt. Not going to be able to make it stick. He will, however, keep the car alive, but he's going to lose a bunch of positions in the process.
He saw Boothie looking on the inside. He tried to give him room, and I believe that didn't work out in the end.
Veloce already has overtaken Jigsaw at the front of the grid, so we know that Veloce is the fastest man out there. For him, the requirement is simple. run to the end of this race without issue. He is fast enough that he can be put on basically any strategy and will still likely win the race by default. He just needs to avoid any instance with anybody else. Gusty pits on lap 1 to try and deal with some lap 1 damage.
Really surprised to see how much the both houses are clanging on the AlphaTauri and the Williams of Veloce and Jigsaw.
Herbago is another 2.5 seconds out from those Haas drivers. He's kind of in a bit of a no man's land right now in that McLaren. So an accident early on in Q3, but he's already gained 5 spots up to 5th. But that forward momentum for him has kind of stalled out here. And there's this big pack, constant jet all the way back until about 15th. And Fratters has had an issue. Fratters has taken damage or gone off or something because he has dropped all the way back to 14th position now.
Plastic Flood looking on the inside and Rangascari.
Oh! And love goes around. In the middle of Ascari. He will get going again before Gusty catches him, but that's not the way you want to get your race going.
We were looking at
Jigsaw now sets the fastest lap, 31.444. So an AlphaTauri versus Williams battle at the front.
I believe we were both on the camera of Plastic Club when the incident happened back here at Ascari.
Yeah.
Doesn't look too great for Riders.
PRUFC and Wild Nissan on the power coming out of that first chicane, but as they go through Curva Grande, Nissan has the advantage, is able to pull ahead just a bit. Again, in the wet, there is no DRS. Every overtake you see is 100% driver ability or capitalizing on the mistake of the driver ahead. As Fratters is going to try and do that to JR Footballer here. And yes, that Mercedes will get by and move up to 13th position. Schumacher is in 10th, watching this battle between PRUFC and Wild Nissan ahead of him. But I'm also keeping my eye not only on this fight between the Haas's, as Dave Ewar is not letting his teammate get away, but Jigsaw continues to hang out in the draft of Veloce right now. This could get very interesting as this race goes on, because Jigsaw is just there, waiting, lurking, hoping that Veloce makes a mistake. Jigsaw very confident, big twitch by Veloce coming out of Parabolica that time.
There's big contact between the Alpine and the Red Bull. Both of them still going. PRFC goes to the box.
And that means Schumacher will now move up into the 9th spot. So all 4 of your championship contenders in the top 9 positions, but your points leader is leading the race, and that's all that matters to him right now. Jigsaw is now closed within 1/3 of a second of Veloce. So normally we see it go the other way around, where Jigsaw is way faster and then struggles under pressure and can't finish a race. Right now, Veloce seems to be a lot less happy with the car. I think winning Dev yesterday and then coming home 3rd in Realistic after leading the most laps in Realistic has given Jigsaw a big boost of confidence. I got to talk with him after those races yesterday. He says he believes there's no doubt that he can win this race and definitely finish. He just needs to get by this man here to do so. Schumacher is now closed in on Wild Nissan, so he is the Mercedes in a Red Bull sandwich. Thane is the bottom of that Red Bull sandwich, which flavor is a good 3.5 seconds out right now. So no pressure for Schumacher at the moment to get by Nissan.
And he has a really steady, consistent line. I'm expecting him to overtake Wild Nissan probably in the upcoming lap.
Down the front straightaway, Jigsaw is within 1/5 of a second. Within a 10th, he looks to the outside, side by side for a lead as they head into the first chicane. The Williams still has the nose ahead as they go through turn 1, navigate through turn 2, and now the AlphaTauri gets sideways, hips checks the Williams, and Veloce gets back in front in the drag race out.
Really clean battle through 1 and 2. Still, the AlphaTauri looking on the inside of the upcoming turn. Does he bail out? Oh, that was
Yeah, he
close
had to
again.
bail out.
But Veloce still retains the lead.
But Veloce is showing weakness, and the crazy thing is, the longer these two battle, it brings Collie Boy and the Haas back into the fray. So we could see a very unexpected title contender. Well, I don't know about title contender, but a race contender in the form of Collie Boy here.
Oh, that is mostly if both Veloce and Jigsaw either have contact or make a mistake, which I would presume that wouldn't happen, but everything can happen.
Veloce a lot stronger through Ascari than Jigsaw is, and he's opened the gap up to 7/10, but Veloce has been stronger here in Parabolica. As a really alternate pair of lines that both of them took. Schumacher continues to hang out behind Wild Nissan, and then there's also the fight in the Haas's as Dave has closed right in behind Collie Boy. But as they go into braking, no move made.
I believe I saw a message saying Collie Boy exited the session.
I believe it because he's now fallen 4.5 seconds out from the leaders. But Jigsaw is there. He's within 1/3 of a second of the Williams again. Now the gap opens up just a bit, but he's going to go for it. He's putting massive pressure on that lead Williams right now.
Oh, Collie Boy's back. And he gets his teammate by.
Right out the back of Veloce's leading Williams. The other question is, how long can you go without making a stop? Intermediates can last a lot longer than softer medium tires. But would you consider risking going to the end of this race on one set without making a stop?
Collie Boy is really struggling now that he is back.
Constant Jet right behind him. Is he going to make a dive into the chicane? Yes, he will, to the inside, but then backs out at the last second. Boothie gets a time penalty for corner cutting there. That's not going to help him going forward, to say the least. Schumacher continues to be stuck behind the Red Bull of Wild Nissan, just can't seem to move any farther up the grid from 9th right now, while his title rivals are 1st, 2nd, and 4th at the moment. Herbago is having a very nice, steady charge up to the grid. Jigsaw within 1/4 of a second of Veloce, within 1/5 of a second, but as they go into the braking zone, does he make a move? No, he'll back out. He doesn't want to go side by side into the section. He did this fight. Oh, big twitch by Veloce through Ascari, and now Jigsaw has the run. Going down the second of the 2-max freeways, Jigsaw is going to out-drag him into Parabolica. So Jigsaw now goes out in front, and Veloce is the one who has to fight back in that Williams. How aggressively does he do so? Well, it's going to be very aggressively. He's already back within 1/4 of a second, within 1/5 of a second. He's right behind, but can't seem to get any closer. He'll have to make a dive bomb into the first chicane. There it is. He's going for it. He locks up the front tires and has to totally back out of it. That's exactly what Jigsaw wanted to see.
And now the gap is open, so Veloce has to do all the work again. Try to get back the lead. Locks up the front tire. Really not helping his case here. Because this is technically a race that you can do with a single set of tires, right?
It's going to be borderline, but yeah, if we stay on this nice, steady amount of rain to the end, you could make it to the end on this set of rubber. And you don't have to change tires if you're on intermediates. Now, with that said, I don't know how hard these tires are going to fall off as this race goes on. But remember, when we were running at Portimao last season, they nearly went that entire race on one set of tires as well. So everyone only pitted at the very end because the track dried out in the last 6 laps. If we see no dry out and a similar amount of rain throughout today, again, you could probably make it to the end without stopping. Schumacher has gotten by Wild Nissan and he has moved his Mercedes up into the 8th spot. He is 3 seconds out from Boothie ahead. So this is good for him. He'll be able to set a lot of laps clean or in relatively cleaner air. As long as Wild Nissan doesn't push the issue too hard going into the Turn 1 chicane, he'll be able to just, kind of run his own race for a bit. For Herbago, who is recovering from that Q3 accident, he's in 4th, hanging on to the back of Dave Ewart, who disconnected for a brief moment earlier but reconnected. But that disconnect has meant that Dave has now fallen 4 seconds out from Veloce. Veloce, your points leader coming into this race, he has fallen over a second out from Jigsaw. I hear him locking up the tires. Is there a potential issue? Could Veloce have burned up his rubber trying to stay ahead of Jigsaw?
Really looking like it. My point of view.
Because right now, he is losing Jigsaw, and Dave is closing on him right now.
Not looking too great. Mistakes over mistakes, and those mistakes are also degrading his tires. So, will we see Veloce trying to be a little bit more conservative over his tires? Or will he try to push and try to fight back, get back to Jigsaw, and potentially lead the race? Because
even if you try now to start being conservative, you've already lost very valuable tire tread, I guess you could say. You've already lost very valuable tire tread. Once that rubber is gone, there's no way to get it back.
Oh, looking at the front tires again.
Yeah, the gap has completely opened up between 1st and 2nd, although Dave is not really closing. It looks like everyone from 3rd on back has kind of fallen off in pace just a bit, with the exception of Schumacher. I think everyone now is just trying to save and nurse their tires at this point. Herbago still running within about a second of Dave Ewart, actually closed in by about a quarter of a second in Ascari. But again, Herbago kind of gets about this gap, about 6/10, 7/10 out from the Haas, and then just kind of loses it gradually in Sector 2 afterwards. Jigsaw's just set the fastest lap, 1:30.060. So conserving or not, Jigsaw has now taken over Veloce's spot of being the class of the field today.
A little bit further back, Dave Ewart is doing his best containing the McLaren of Herbago, and so far, he's really doing a good job keeping the McLaren in a 1 second window.
Fight for 14th. Gusty trying to go around the outside of Plastic Love on the run down to turn 1. He gets the nose of the Alfa Romeo ahead, and he'll complete the pass.
Oh, big wiggle from Plastic Love right behind.
I think Dave is making most of his time against Herbago. I said earlier it was in Sector 2. I might be wrong. I might actually be on the straights. Because now Herbago has just closed up to 6/10 behind the Haas. but that seems to stall out at about 6/10 down these straights. In fact, it's actually opening up despite the fact that he has a draft. So I wonder if Dave Ewart has a bit more of a hybrid setup, meaning that he's losing time in the quarters, but he's a little bit faster in the straights.
This could be a viable option to go for some kind of hybrid setup.
Boothie is pitting out of 7th position now, so he is committing to at least a 2-stop race. Well, at least a 1-stop race, I'm sorry. But no yellow flags, not even a VSC in this event, and everyone who has started is still in it.
Should I provoke my luck in saying this will be a no safety car race?
I was just thinking the exact same thing. I was like, should I go ahead and say it?
Alright.
I don't believe in jinxes or curses or anything, but I don't want to look like a complete dumbass if I say it's going to happen and then it doesn't.
Rather than I'll say this will be a race without a safety car. And I'm saying this because we haven't seen so much incidents so far, and I believe every drivers on the track are the extra careful because the track is wet. So this might play in our favor when we say this will be a no safety car race.
Yeah, and everyone's kind of spread out into a bunch of single, they're either running by themselves or running with a second car in their draft. And even the people in the draft aren't in positions to make a whole lot of movements. I see a potential fight that might go down for 9th here between Flavor and Meerkat, but most of the battles on track have kind of already happened, I think. Yeah, I think Meerkat's going to make a dive bomb on Flavor going into 1 here, but other than that, I don't see a lot else going on in fighting. Fratter's time penalty for speeding in pit lane, that's not going to help him, to say the least.
Oh, Flavor.
Oh, Flavor completely botches it, and Meerkat gets into the side of him. He'll go by.
Oh, I believe he let him go by.
Nissan continues to just hang out behind Schumacher, who has now inherited 7th position. And farther up, Constant Jet is just hanging out behind Collie Boy, but is not close enough to put any serious pressure on that Haas. And then Herbago continues to run just behind Dave. This is the closest serious battle we've had for a while, because Herbago is closed now significantly. He's within 4/10 of Dave, but that gap stalls out, going down that second back straightaway.
Even opens up a little bit by 1/2.
Leaders pitting. And Dave came in, but Herbago stayed out.
The new leader,
So
Herbago.
Collie Boy now picks up 2nd. Constant Jet picks up 3rd. 4th looks like it's going to go to the Mercedes of Schumacher, because Schumacher has yet to make a stop. Incident, plastic glove, they're coming out of Ascari. Just a regional yellow flag, we stay green. Jigsaw just ahead of Schumacher, so Jigsaw beat that Mercedes into the first chicane, but now Veloce is between Jigsaw. Veloce has to get around that Mercedes to get after Jigsaw. This has worked out very well in Jigsaw's favor. Jigsaw's only about 13-14 seconds out from Herbago, so I guess I was wrong. They might be burning through a rubber faster than anticipated. It looks like it will be a one-stop race for the entire field.
And I believe this with a fresh set of intermediates will do good for Veloce. As every time I was watching him entering turn 1, he was locking up the brakes.
Also, real quickly, one other thing to consider, when you have a race going start to end in the green potentially like this, you need to take consideration where everyone is on fuel. As I'm looking through the grid right now, when it comes to fuel conservation, XR Augusti in 10th, he is still trying to make up fuel numbers, as is Flavor in 7th. As we see now, everyone else who inherited the lead earlier, they're pitting. But it looks like those are the only 2 drivers in position that need to make extra fuel. Wow, Veloce right there behind Schumacher as they go into that chicane. Again, these 2 are fighting for the title, but Schumacher does have to pit again. Veloce does not have to worry about pitting again in theory. Here comes the Williams to the inside. The Mercedes blocks it. Big lockup, and the Mercedes missed the corner as well. He gets a time penalty for that. And I'm sure Veloce is going to be screaming, saying, hey, make that Mercedes give the position. Too late, Schumacher's already given him the position. That did not work nearly as well as Schumacher wanted it to.
And at least he's being honest about that.
Herbago now held up behind XRO Flavor, who has not yet made a stop, and he is running in the 4th position now. But that fight between Schumacher and Veloce has opened up the gap between 1st and 2nd to over 3.5 seconds, closer to 3 3/4 at this point. Fight for 4th as Flavor has the position and Herbago dives to the inside to get it.
Oh, new fast lap by Jigsaw. First lap below the 129s. 130s, sorry.
PRUFC now gets a time penalty for track violations. Herbago made that an easy overtake against Flavor, and that means that will be JR Footballer and Dave Ewart trying to fight against Flavor next. Dave has the advantage over Footballer. He has fresher tires, so this could get a little bit interesting in this fight for 5th through 8th right now.
Oh, Dave really putting the power down. Way better than JR Footballer ahead.
Oh, but he's into the grass! Oh. Yeah, he had the better run, but was offline just enough. He couldn't maximize.
I mean, we both saw the struggle of drivers on controllers, because from the onboard of Dave and looking at JR, both of them were running this race on controller.
Oh, here comes Dave on JR now.
Oh.
Easy overtake on the inside. No, it's not. Footballer wants to fight him for it into a scar. Side by side. You don't want to be side by side through here, but they're going side by side anyway, and they keep it together. A little bit of contact. They're still neck and neck.
Dave,
and that's Collie Boy in the other Haas ready to capitalize as well.
He was pulling off a toe for his teammate back there.
Ooh, Dave, really bad exit out of Parabolica. He's opened up a big gap as now we see Flavor making his stop. Schumacher is still on track. I think Schumacher might be hoping that there's a yellow flag. But I don't know if that's going to work, because if Flavor is pitting before you, that's not a good thing. Flavor is notorious for being able to go farther on tires than anyone else. Yellow flag, sector 3. That is Boothie, who has had an instant, trying to come into pit lane.
Not much of a struggle for Dave Ewart now that he has passed JR Footballer. He really knows how to put the power down, and he really opened up a gap between him and JR, almost 1.5 seconds. And I believe still counting.
Other thing to consider, Herbago, who is in 4th, is slowly closing the gap between himself and Schumacher. So our top 4 on track are your 4 main championship contenders right now. Yellow flag, DNF, Plastic Glove has had an instant there in Sector 2. And that's it, full course safety car. That's perfect for Schumacher. The counterpoint, though, is that safety car came out after he got a chance to come into the pit lane, so he's not going to be able to get the full advantage of it. But he can pit and will move significantly up the grid, who will not lose many positions. Also, JR Footballer gets a free pit stop out of this as well.
Well, we jinxed it again. We'll get there someday.
It's happened in realistic, it's just not happened in the shorter X3 series yet. PRUFC and Fratters also pitting right now under the yellow. Again, the field, although it had spread out, wasn't spread out to the point that lap traffic would be an issue. Coming in the party now is Plastic Love. Plastic, go ahead and include your audio. Accident there in Sector 2, what happened?
I was on 18, I think 18 the old tires, no grip. Hit the curb a little bit too much and I just lost control.
Alright, shame to see you knocked out like this. Do you think you can recover next week, though?
Yeah, actually, I think next week's tracks are my favorite tracks, and which ones I'm pretty good at, so I think I can bounce back.
Alright. Well, thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. We'll hopefully talk to you again at the end of a race sometime soon.
See you guys.
Alright, and here comes Schumacher coming into the pits. Now, he is going to drop down the order. I think he's only going to come out in about 7th position, but he's going to be on tires that will be fresher than everyone else's. Yeah, he's in 7th now, but he's on tires that are now fresher than everyone ahead of him. It's going to be a long safety car, though, because last place, Boothie, he is a lap down, because he pitted, I'm guessing. But Fratters there in 14th. He's still in Sector 2, where the leaders are also in Sector 2, so it's going to take a long time for Fratters to catch the rear of the grid.
So are we expecting safety car to come in at the end of... Are we lap 21? 21 at the earliest?
Nah, I don't think it will be that long. I think we'll be going green coming on to lap 20. I think we'll run this entire lap under safety car, and we'll run all of lap 19 under safety car. Because now things have turned around, and now Fratters already in Sector 1, while the leaders are just now getting into Sector 3. Again, Monza being so heavily focused on straightaway speed, it's way easier to gather the grid back up under safety car here than at, say, Hungaroring or Monaco or Suzuka. Yeah, right now Schumacher is in 7th. He's about 9 seconds out from the back of the grid, but he's going to close most of that up here on the back straightaway alone. Yeah, there he is. Now he catches. And it looks like they're going to let Boothie by, so Boothie will get an attempt at least to get back on the lead lap. Hopefully the game doesn't unfairly penalize him for it like we've seen happen so many times before. Wild Nissan 8th, he's now going to close back up to the back of the grid here. He's only about 5 seconds out. And then once Nissan catches up, we need to get JR Footballer to catch up. He's only about 2.5 seconds behind Nissan at the moment. So here we are. Now that Red Bull catches. Now it will be the Williams. He'll catch here in the chicane. And then it's another 5.5 seconds back until you get to the McLaren of Mantic Meerkat. We've talked a lot about Herbago. Mantic Meerkat, he does not have a very great run. He's just been kind of hanging out in the bottom of the points paying positions most of the day today. And now he's on some of the oldest tires of everyone on the grid. 5-lap old tires, which are comparable to your leaders. And while Nissan ahead, everyone else around is only on 1 or 2-lap old tires. So it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for him to get to the end. Flavor's caught up, as has Gusty. He's about to catch up here on the back straightaway now. And we'll see PRUFC. He'll close in here on this back straightaway. Yeah, I think we're going to go green coming on to lap 21. Possibly. It's going to be a late call, though.
Surely a late call.
No, I guess not. So we are going to stay under yellow for one more lap. That's good news for Boothie, though, because that means he will get a chance to properly catch the back of the grid. That's a Haas coming in. That's Collie Boy, and he just got a penalty for speeding coming into the pit lane. But he is pitting now, and this is going to drop him well out of the points. Down to second to last. What in the world is the strategy there? Oh, there's wing nose damage, so somewhere he has damaged the front wing on that car.
That's a real shame.
Yeah, 'cause he's been having a relatively... Yeah, he's been having a great day today, running top 6 all day after starting on the front row. Now, well out of the points.
Really on from
And he needs
good
to rush.
bad. But at least,
Yeah,
at least the consolation prize is Dave Ewart's really being, as of right now, really being shy of the podium.
Collie needs to rush to catch the back of the grid. It looks like he's going to do it here, though. And then we should be going green coming to the start of lap 22. So it'll be a 6-lap sprint to the end here. So Jigsaw leads. There's the word officially. Safety car coming in this lap. Jigsaw leads. Veloce second. Jigsaw took the lead early on. Just cut his way through the Haas's at the start. Was not able to lead the first lap though. Veloce beat him to the line. Veloce led a bunch of laps earlier. Then Jigsaw just kind of turned up the wick, turned up the pressure, got by the Williams. Now Jigsaw leads, and it's Veloce who needs to put the pressure on the AlphaTauri. But Jigsaw controls the field, coming to the green flag. He gets to back them up. He gets to say, hey, look, this is how fast, how slow we're going, and I get to decide when I go, not you.
And Cali Boy will have to pit again, as he had contact with Fredders in front of him. Really from bad to worse.
Green flag. Jigsaw puts the power down. Veloce spins the tires, putting the power down, and look at the gap that's already opened up.
Really nailed his restart.
Here comes Herbago looking on Veloce. Can't make it stick there. Farther back, Jared Football, Romantic Meerkat Football, and the Williams goes way off the circuit. Totally misses the corner. And it's going to drop right to the back of the grid now. Schumacher didn't have a great start either. He's totally lost constant jet. So top 5 kind of in a bit of a zone of their own at the moment. Veloce trying to close back in on the leading AlphaTauri. Dave Ewart's closer to Herbago than Herbago is to the leaders. And again, we expect Dave Ewart to be a little bit faster on straightaways than that McLaren. That seems to be working out. Dave is closing down on that McLaren ahead.
Really clean race from Dave Ewart so far. Really closing in.
For third, he's going to go around the outside. Herbago cuts him off, though.
Oh, a little bit of contact. Not much more from both drivers, but Dave Ewart is right now is right in the gearbox. Herbago looking on the outside. My favorite.
Herbago runs a defensive middle-ish lane until the braking zone.
Contact again.
And now this
nose
is
in the gearbox.
Yeah, And here in Sector 2, this is where Herbago needs to try and open up the gap as much as he can. Footballer comes in the pit lane to repair damage to his car. Here comes that Haas again, though. He's closing.
Outside of his car, he has only one shot.
Contact! And he pulls out. Not a great exit out of Ascari, but he's only half a second back in closing. The thing is, he's fought with Herbago long enough, it's brought Constant Jet up into the fray to play.
Not that great of an entry of Parabolica. But the slight gap is still there. He is closing again. He will have a shot in turn 1.
Here he goes to the inside. He's pulling alongside. But he has to brake early. The McLaren still has the preferred lane. Ooh, bad run by all three of them. And there we have a stack of 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th all get into each other because Herbago and Davey are both missed the corner. Is there damage to Constant and Schumacher's cars?
He tried to go for a switchback, but Herbago was still there. Might not much, but still.
And now that's opened up a fight farther back. Meerkat made a lunge on Nissan. He had to back out of it after he clattered the curb, though. Now Meerkat balls off and it's going to let Gusty close in on him. While Nissan GTR and 7 gets a time penalty for track violations. At the front, Veloce has closed in closer to Jigsaw than he has for the last several laps. We could see another overtake for a lead here, coming down the main straightaway. Veloce laying on the ERS. He's hanging out about a third of a second back, now about a quarter of a second. He's going to have to dive bomb going into the braking zone.
He is looking for it.
Can't do it. Oh, did you just lag out?
Yeah.
Here, I'll send you an invite back in real quickly.
I'll take it.
It doesn't. It's not letting me send you an invite. Cool.
Yeah, I'll take care of
there we are.
my...
Now I got it.
I'll take care of my... There it is.
Meanwhile, the fight for third continues. Collie Boy back there in 14 is just at the fastest lap. Oh! Davey Ward drops a pair of tires into the gravel there out of that second chicane. That's not going to help him out for sure. Here are Veloce closing on Jigsaw once more. Veloce is forcing Jigsaw to use his ERS up way faster than he wants to. In Ascari, Veloci's now within a quarter of a second coming out of Ascari. Now it's the run down to Parabolica once more. Veloci's forcing Jigsaw to burn all of his ERS up here on this back straightaway. And Veloci now has more than double the ERS coming onto the front stretch. Oh, big twitch by Jigsaw coming out of Parabolica. He's within 4/10 of a second, now within a third of a second. Game within a quarter of a second, now within a fifth. He looks to the inside, he's gonna have to throw it up under braking. He's not gonna do it, he locks up the fronts, Veloce does. Jigsaw holds on to the lead. It's the second to last lap. Veloce needs to make this pass happen now. Oh, Jigsaw made a mistake there in Curva Grande. Here comes Veloce to the outside, side by side for the win. Side by side, they make just a bit of contact. They both vomit, they both completely mess up there through that second chicane. Jigsaw barely holds position. They're both 3.3 seconds out from Herbago in third, so it's a fight between these two men right now.
Oh, Veloce left the session.
And that's it. Jigsaw's gonna win then because Veloce has just gotten disconnected. There's not going to be a chance for Veloce to claw that gap back. It's over for him. And Veloce just got a penalty for ignoring a yellow flag that wasn't on the track. What the hell?
That is insult over injury.
Well, Dave Ewar is still putting the fight to Herbago. Still trying to turn the screws to that McLaren. All right, there we are. Veloci's back in now, but he's fallen 2.7 seconds out. In fact, Herbago is actually closing on Veloci, so a potential win now gone from Veloci, your points leader, and Jigsaw will be able to close the points gap back in his favor a bit. For Schumacher, frustration because he said he was comfortable with the setup. He said he was happy with the setup, but he's just kind of stalled out. And Herbago's just gotten by Veloci. Now Veloci has lost another position to Dave Ewar. Is there something wrong with Veloci's Williams? He's hemorrhaging positions now. Your points leader, the race has fallen apart in the last 2 laps. What has happened? Next up, the next 2 guys to try and catch him and pass him will be Constant Jet and Schumacher. PRUFC gets another time penalty in the back of the grid. It's not really going to amount to anything, though. It looks like Veloci's kind of stabilized now in 4th, but still, he was running 2nd, fighting for the win. Now it's going to be Herbago in that McLaren that pulls off a 2nd after crashing in Q3, and Dave Ewart is going to be the only Haas that started on the front row to still finish on the podium. But coming out of the final corner is this man Jigsaw. He won Dev, took home podium in Realistic, and he's going to go with another win here at Monza. Congratulations to him. Herbago 2nd, Dave Ewart 3rd, Veloce comes home in 4th. It says Constant Jet gets 5th, but he's not actually going to keep that, I guarantee you, due to the time penalty will probably be removed against Veloce because it was bullcrap. Gussie gets 6th, Schumacher 7th, Fratters 8th, Nissan 9th, Boothie is going to be 11th, and Meerkat gets 9th, Boothie 10th, Nissan 11th, Flavor 10th, Boothie 11th, Nissan 12th, Pure UFC 13th, Collie 14th, Kiara Footballer in 15th. Well, that brings us to an end of a relatively calm race at Monza. And we're going to try and get our podium finishers into the party, hear what they have to say about their win and their podium finishes. First, we want to start with XRL Jigsaw. Jigsaw, go ahead, include your audio. A fantastic win that started with a great double overtake in the first chicane. Walk us through that race from your perspective, mate. Yeah, I don't you should be able to.
Okay, well, we'll roll with it, and we'll go from there. So, what was the question again? Sorry.
No, just walk us through the race from your perspective, basically, starting with that amazing double overtake on lap 1.
I mean, simple
right,
action does not require for complex words.
Alright.
You do recap your race every time like this. I mean, I made a couple of turns over to a couple of people, went a pit once, and then crossed the start-finish line.
Well, I will say this, mate. You did a good job holding off Veloce to the end there. Great job on a win. That's 2 wins in a span of 3 races. And this will definitely close up the championship battle in your favor as well.
Yeah, it would have been a lot closer, a lot disconnected at the end there. He was flying. I don't know how I can happen that for that length of time, to be honest with you.
Alright, well, also we want to go ahead and talk with our second place finisher, Herbago. Herbago, we talked to you in the middle of Q3 because you crashed out was not looking good for you. You turned it around with an amazing podium, mate. What about that? Incredible. I'd say driver of the day stuff from you.
I passed volleyball like which is good, and I passed Dave. I think I passed him with this stuff. So I was really lucky. So I don't deserve to do like congratulations to Victor and work with Veloce, but I don't know what happened between you two in the end, but
All right, outstanding job, mate. Those also really help you in the championship battle as well. So great job recovering points today as well. Also, we want to talk with our third place finisher, Dave Ewart. Dave, a front row start and a podium finish. This is an outstanding run for you. Walk us through the race today from your perspective.
Yeah, it was quite uneventful. I thought Tribago managed to jump me on the pit stop, and I just couldn't get by him. I had a couple of lunges, but he defended pretty well, so I wasn't able to get by him. But I'll take a podium. That's good for the points, and me and Tribago are up there challenging the top three now, I think.
Yeah, great job, mate. It was all together for all three of you, all the jigsaws already left. Outstanding drive, relatively calm drive to a good podium finish. Good job, boys.
Thank you.
And that will pretty much wrap up our broadcast here from Monza in about an hour's time on the about an hour and 10 minutes on the main channel. You can catch a little bit more Monza action as X2 will be going underway there. But until that point, until next time, I've been your host, InsaneLeader13. I've been joined by PZ Frenchman Man. PZ, thanks for being willing to jump in and cover the race today once again. Love sharing the booth with you.
My pleasure, boy.
Alright, and with that, we'll go ahead and let you go to about your day. We'll see you next week. Until then,